All right, everyone, welcome to the Impa Show, and this is our guest, Tholme. Before we go into the interview, I have a few ads to read. First ad is from Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, but has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, anarchists, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it, and you will too. Unleash the beast, Monster Energy. I recommend the 0 calorie, the white. I don't remember what it's called. You ever had that, Tholme? Tholme?
No, I haven't.
You've never had the white energy?
No.
It's the best one. Sip Nation. All right, our second sponsor, JUUL, or as I like to call it, Huell. Huell was founded by former smokers, James and Adam, with the goal of improving the lives of the 1 billion adult smokers. We envision a world where fewer people use cigarettes, and where people who smoke cigarettes have the tools to reduce or eliminate their consumption entirely, should they so desire. Our commitment. We recognize that smoking alternatives continue to be the subject of conversation. We welcome dialogue, debate, and data, and will register and publish results from the vapor-related research we conduct. Have you ever had a JUUL, a Huell?
Oh, no, I haven't.
You haven't? I recommend the mint or the mango, and if you can get it, the cool cucumber. That's the best one.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
that
real
sounds
good.
nice.
It's smooth. Now, in this episode, we're going to be talking about shockball with Tholme here, and it's a sort of player management sports sim that you play with your in-game combine character. And so you train up your character, join a team, and you get put into a lineup. You can create a team and be a manager of the team. It's a lot of fun. Introduce yourself, Tholme, if you'd like to. Say a few words.
Hey, everybody. I'm Tholme. I'm the developer of Shockball, and I guess I've been playing the Combine for over 10 years now. I took a big break in the middle there, but now I've come back to start up this project. Yeah, happy to be on the show.
Excellent. I guess you already touched on this, but how long have you been playing the Combine, and what have you done in the Combine?
Oh, yeah. I played for, I guess, a little more than 10 years, which is like super crazy to say about a video game. Like, like I don't know about you, but like the Combine is kind of like one of my like little secrets. Like, I talk about playing games that came out in like the last year or 2 or 3, or maybe even like 4 or 5 if I want to seem like really old school and hip. But like, I don't mention the Combine. That's a special creature.
I've tried to get people to play, but they don't want to. It's more, if we're being honest with ourselves, it's more of a waiting simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult to describe as well. People look at me like, "What are you talking about a game, or like what is this?" But
Now, have you had multiple characters or just one in the Combine so far? I don't. If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But
oh no, it's fine. No, I started with one, Zaturuk Tim, that lasted maybe like a year and a half, and I didn't like how I rolled my character and set up my stats, and like I just ruined a bunch of stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna suicide and create something new. So I came back as Tholme, and I've been that, I guess, for about ever since. So I guess about a little over about 9 years, or a little over 9 years.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been. Oh man, how long have I been playing? I think it's like 7 years now. So we're around the same. I've only had one character. One character.
Yeah. How come you haven't respawned?
Endurance. I have natural endurance like a puma. So, what is your overall goal for the league?
Oh, man, I just like I loved the old Shock Bowl so much. It was before I even decided in my real life to become a developer, and it was one of the like instrumental things. It was like, whoa, some dude just like made this in his spare time. And even back then, it was like, it doesn't look like fantastic or anything, but it was so fun. And I really just wanted to make that again. Like, I really missed it after I left. I was like, this was the funnest part of the Combine for me, at least, was like being able to have like it was just so meta. Like, being able to have like a simulation inside of a simulation, basically. uh, so I really just wanted to make something that everybody likes to play. Um, I guess within reason. I know not everybody can be pleased, but make something that's fun and something that's fair and something that's reasonably playable by everybody, not just like super wealthy characters in the game. That's kind of where I want to go with it. I really like how much people have like engaged with the game's development, and I really want that to continue. I like the idea of a bunch of people's input helping to produce something that everybody can be happy with and have fun with.
What about Shockball pushed you to form this new league? You already touched on that sort of, but is there anything else that specifically with how the old Shockball league ran that you really liked?
Hmm. Well, I'm trying to think of something specific. Um, One thing I vaguely remember was kind of the way that they did play by play, and I have this like foggy kind of like picture of these. It's almost like events like I tried to do, but it was like several things happening at once, and it was like a row of like little icons, and people were matched up, and it was really kind of cool, really kind of unique as well. Like I haven't seen that anywhere since in any other kind of sports management game, indie or mainstream or anything. I thought I fit really well with a game that people play all over the globe at different times of the day, and all would want to get together and watch it replayed at the same time. So I guess maybe that play-by-play kind of stands out to me.
So right now in Shockball, for people who don't know, it's not really a live game. It's pre-run, I guess, and then
Yeah.
you watch it individually. Do you have any plans to move towards the original live game format, or?
Yeah, I actually started out that way, and I remember having a discussion with Kay actually back before Alpha launched, and he made a good case for with people being so, you know, all over the place, time zone wise, all over the world, that it was difficult to have a real time game that everybody could kind of fairly participate in. Um, Now, that was more like the actual like playing of the game when I had an idea of like players having input during a live game, some kind of input, even if it was like changing like a strategy or some kind of like modifier or something live during the game. I think that's more what we were talking about at the time. Um, but it may not be outside the realm of reason to have a live simulated game. There's some technical concerns that I'd have with it. Right now, the game is simulated in about less than 10 seconds in real time, like an actual server computing.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about that is that the risk of something going wrong is really low, because usually you can 10 seconds for a server to be up and working like it should is good. But now if I stagger in real time and simulate a game to happen over 70 minutes or an hour and a half, if I had it like tick through and record things every real time minute, then I'd need to make sure that the server was good for an hour and a half with no interruption at all. And that might be fine. I mean, I'm using Heroku dynos, so it should be up, but it's just a little more risky. But it would be really fun. I mean, that kind of drives me like to do the thing that would probably be the most fun, honestly. Like, and the idea of a bunch of people getting together to actually watch like a live game, that's crazy. Like that would be fun. I would like that. So I think if some people were on board for that, yeah, I'd be on board to try it too. Maybe we could try it for like a playoff or something. Make the playoff game like a live game that starts at a certain real time and actually like generates events in real time minutes.
Okay, so speaking of technical concerns, have you thought about taking on any additional help developing the game or maintaining the game?
Oh yeah, I'd actually love some help. I have kind of quietly put some feelers out to different people to see if they'd be interested in helping. But there's been a couple people from the player base that have expressed interest, and we've kind of gone down the road of getting them set up. But I don't know that they're super keen on maintaining. But yeah, I'd be all for it. Like the more help, the better. Also, so I could probably get a little more of a break. I think I get about, I want to say between like 20 and 40 messages a day on Discord related to it, which isn't a big deal. Like I can check it here and there, but more help would be good. I mean, there's a concern too, which is kind of why I took the source code and made it private, that I wouldn't want anybody having an unfair advantage.
Right.
So I'm not sure how to handle that. Like if a normal player wanted to help develop, but they also wanted to play and own a team and be involved in the whatever makes profits, well then, I don't know. I guess we kind of have to have a relationship.
In terms of helping on the development side, what sort of skill set would you be looking for somebody who's looking to help?
Probably someone who's comfortable with JavaScript, somebody who's comfortable with using source control, and that would probably be it. The API and the front end, and even the way that I interact with the database, it's all in JavaScript, and it's all JavaScript technologies. So it's somebody who's really comfortable with JavaScript, like they would be in a good place to do it. Like specific technologies, if somebody liked using React and they liked using Node, then this would be perfect for them.
You touched on this sort of, but in terms of how many messages you've been receiving related to Shockball, would you, even from people who didn't have that sort of skill set, would you be looking for someone to help with sort of a community management side of things? I know we're just in alpha season 2 right now, but you know, going down the line.
Oh yeah, I've actually started to try and do this now with I kind of introduced like a moderator role to kind of help me with suggestion channels and helping boil suggestions down, because the suggestion channels like will quickly get, you know, like a bunch of different ideas, and the scope of the thing kind of can blow up sometimes. So I'd actually asked a couple people to help me. That's going okay, but yeah, I think if there was actually a developer wanting to come on, or someone wanting to come on and help develop, like I would just be happy if they could just do development, and I would probably want to be like, hey, I'll just do other things, so you don't have to do anything else but that if you can just help me. Kay is actually one of the moderators, and Altair is a moderator as well. That was something new we've tried. They haven't had to do a lot of things you'd consider moderation, but they've done a lot of organizing and like helping me keep stuff like flowing and summarized, which has been a big help.
Okay, now if you don't have any skills and you just kind of suck, you can support by going to patreon.com/BP Kennedy. I'll put the exact link into the description for this video. But you can go there and you can pay good old Tholme here so that he can keep making Shockball. Because listen, you know, he has a life, he has a job, and you're just gonna mooch off him for free? I don't think so, pal. So go ahead and donate to to the Shockball Patreon, please. We have one more ad to read. Hold on, let me get to this ad. All right, our next ad is from a great sponsor of ours, been with us since the beginning. It's BioGaia Gastrus, probiotic gastrointestinal health. BioGaia Gastrus is a food supplement containing the patented lactic acid bacterium Lactobacillus reuteri. It's not important. Because both strains in L. reuteri gastrus naturally colonize humans, they have been a strong adaptation to persist and interact with humans. That didn't make any sense. Listen, fellas, if you want to decalcify your pineal gland, open up your pineal gland and see in the fourth dimension, you gotta take BioGaia once a day. You gotta make sure your microbiota is in good shape, top shape. All right, or else you're a fool. You spoke a little bit about the previous Shockball League, and did you play in the Shockball League for its full run? I wasn't in it. I was only in it very briefly.
I wasn't in the whole thing. I looked forever for the name of the team I was on. It was when I was in the faction Advance. I was in Advance Coalition for a while, and they had a team running out of there. I forget the name. A lot of the guys were on it, but I joined that one, and my player was a guard who hit hard as hell. And it was either the first or the second season that I played. I won an award for being like one of the best guards in the league that season. I was so happy. It was awesome. But I can't remember the team name. It feels so terrible. You know, like I so wish that Nat. I don't know how you say is the character's name, but like the guy who made previous Shockball, Nat.
It was Nat something.
I
yeah.
wish Natron or Natron or something. It would be so cool if he could come back and we could work together. Like, that'd be amazing.
So, what sort of effects do you see Shockball having on darkness gameplay? You know, in-character combine gameplay, stuff like Shockball matches being used as propaganda or factions revolving around Shockball. We just had the GNS release, and there's some heated words that were included in that GNS post. Do you see that sort of stuff influencing, if there's enough of a credit draw to the league? Do you see that impacting darkness a lot, or do you plan on helping that along?
I don't have like specific plans I'm going towards to make that big, but I really hope that it does. I have been talked back from more aggressive, like, I see things. Like, when early on, I actually wanted to force all of the teams and players to, like, in darkness, actually travel to the stadium to play the match, or else the match, wouldn't go and they'd, be disqualified or something. But people kept saying, no, people don't want to, they don't want to do that.
Ooh, did you hear that, Tholme?
I heard something.
Did you hear that? That was me taking a nice, smooth, fat rip for my JUUL Mango Pod. $15 a pack. There is, let me get the pack. There's 5 pods per pack. That's $15. Imagine how much money you're spending on cigarettes. You could be spending it on JUUL pods. It tastes like mango. Have you ever had a cigarette that tastes like mango, Tholme? No. The answer is no.
No.
Not mint either. Menthol doesn't count. You ever had a cigarette that tastes like cucumber? No, you haven't. $30 for a JUUL. It gives you a charger. Plug it in. You're ready to go. What's been your biggest challenge so far? Either developing the Shockball League or getting people to play it? Just what's been your overall biggest hurdle you've had to overcome?
Technically, it would be the authentication with Star Wars Combine web services. They have okay documentation, but it was all very much geared towards server-side languages, so .NET, C#. But they didn't have much of anything for JavaScript. They had some sections on how to integrate client-side. I'm talking totally nerd here. So it was just pretty difficult, and it's still not what I would like it right now. You keep getting the authorization page on every login. I'd like that to be smoother, and there is a way. It's just going to take some more tinkering and learning on my part. But aside from technical, probably the biggest challenge is trying, when there's suggestions or like concerns and several people have them and we talk about them in like Discord, deciding at some point someone has to decide, yeah, we'll do this and we'll try and do it this way. Trying to do that in a way that accommodates everybody's desires and wishes is difficult. I know that that's just, it's just life, right? Like, everybody's not always going to agree. But that's been rough. Not rough, but not ideal. I like kind of pleasing everybody, just being honest. So that's probably been the most challenging, is having to say to some people, nope, I'm just not going to do it that way.
Speaking of suggestions, when are we going to have meal plans implemented into the training regimen for Shockball players?
That would be great. Oh, that would be great. And we have the diners and stuff ready for them right
And I'll
now.
tell you one thing:
Um,
the best selection in the meal plan, if there was a meal plan, which I hope there will be, would be BioGaia Gastris, stomach health probiotic supplement. There's 30 chewable tablets per pack. You can get them on Amazon for, I think they're like $40. I can't remember. But you get like two boxes of it. It'll last you months. All right. Keep your microbiota healthy. Your gut bacteria. It's very important. All right. I just got to keep getting these plugs in.
that was a great segue.
Thank you. Now, in the first alpha season, there's only been one league. How many teams were in it? I don't recall. This is something I should have looked up as the host, but
Oh
you're
yeah,
the commissioner.
10.
10 teams. So now in alpha season 2, you're expanding the teams. What do you think the total team limit is going to be?
Well, we're already up to 18, and someone else submitted one last night or today, so that's 19. I'd like an even number, so we're probably going to have at least 20. So that's double the size for this next season at a minimum. I mean, that's probably total teams, and I think I want to have divisions or whatever we call them. I want to have that capability ready before we schedule fixtures and start play for season 2.
Okay, so that's obviously a little ways off, but for divisions and conferences and things like that, do you have any long-term plans or goals?
No, I think, yeah, no, and anytime I talk about it, people come at it from different perspectives. Like for example, Jake Malik will come at it from a football kind of perspective, and he'll talk about like conferences and like drafts and stuff like that. And then Kay will come at it from like I think it's mostly soccer perspective. And sometimes I'll represent like the hockey perspective, but really like it's so strange. Most features are like that. They're a conglomeration of all those sports together. I think we'll start simple. Anytime things get like complicated and there's like a lot of voices wanting different things, I generally just try and do the simplest thing first and then see how that goes. And if it's, if it's not working, if it's not enough, or if it's weird, change it from there. So we'll probably just have like some kind of 1, 2, 3 league for the next season 2. And then beyond that, we'll probably have some kind of promotion and relegation so that people can feel like there's a elite league that they can achieve, getting their team up there, and a team for maybe not the elite or the new. I don't know. I don't want to be mean or anything, but the people that aren't the elite.
Okay, I have 2 user submitted questions. I don't know why I'm going to ask you these, but I'm going to. They're from a guy named Thresk. His name's Thresk.
Okay.
He said, what is shockball? Is it called shockball because it shocks the players who touch it, or because it electrifies the fans?
Oh, that's pretty cool. I never thought about like electrifying the fans. Shockball, the aesthetic of Shockball is based off an old video game that's Amiga-like called Speedball 2, or Speedball. You can probably look it up. Speedball 2 Tournament 2001. You'll see the intro videos for that video game is actually, in large part, the inspiration for the aesthetic that Nat and whoever else who helped him back in the day for original Shockball used. But that's a video game that actually plays similarly to how the Star Wars sport plays, and there's not a lot of like information. Like if you go to Wikipedia or whatever and look up shockball, you really won't find that much. But it's essentially, I imagine it as very much like a hockey, basketball, football, soccer mashup. And that's how I describe it to anybody who doesn't even play Darkness. When I'm like, oh, I'm working on this project, it's like a sports management kind of game. And they're like, what's the sport? And that's how I describe it. It's like soccer, basketball, hockey, all mashed together. There's 2 different versions that academically exist of shockball. One of them was in the one that actually comes from the Star Wars books. People played the game with like a gun that they would shoot and shock people with, but I always thought that was kind of lame, even though that's what's come out of books. I like to think that the ball itself has shocking capability. Um, and mostly it's players like bustling into each other because because there's no skill in the game about like you get shocked by the ball itself. um, it's mostly like people. So I liked the idea of the shockball glove item that came out in the old league because I really felt more like some kind of gear or equipment that was able to actually like shock people is probably a lot cooler. At least it is to me.
Right.
So if we ever move towards items and stuff, that's kind of what I want to do. Is it would be cool to equip people with gear that actually could enforce their tackles and stuff and make them shock the shit out of people.
So you milked a lot out of that question. I'm surprised it was a terrible question, but let's see if you can do it with the next one from Thresk. He asks, "Why does it burn when I pee?"
uh, that's a great question, Thresk.
Is it a good? I don't think it's a good question. I think it's a question for a doctor, medical doctor.
Yeah, yeah. I think it'd be good for you to go that direction.
I agree.
Go, yeah, ask a doctor.
So far in Shockball we have about 6 or 7 skills. Not all of them affecting gameplay. Do you have any plans to expand that, or are you kind of playing that by ear?
Yeah, kind of playing that by ear right now because I thought I was starting with a simple set of skills, and that it would be kind of not as complicated as it has already kind of become. That people have already started seeing issues with the skill stacking up over time with training or not training. So even the idea of adding in, like when I tried adding awareness at the beginning of this season, I had 4 or 5 people who were like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this. Like, what does this mean? It sounds the same as this other skill, and it's just going to be kind of confusing." So, like, even a little change, adding a new skill would be a big change. Not to say that it wouldn't happen, I guess. So I know that's not a great answer. Like, oh, I might, but I'm not. I think what I always try to like let lead me when it comes to like the simulation is kind of how the simulation feels in the end when you're like watching the game and when you're looking at the results. And regardless of how it's like implemented and what skills are there, if the game feels generally like you'd expect, like if you have great players playing weak players, and the great players generally beat the crap out of the weak players, that kind of feels right to me, you know? And vice versa. Like if you have, middle of the road players versus middle of the road, there should be, good room for surprises. It shouldn't be one-sided. So things like that is, and I like getting surprised as well. So finding the right element of chance without it feeling totally random, but also feeling excited towards the effort you put in for your player to make them better is kind of what leads me to make this to make the sim different and better. So there may be new skills in the future, but as we add them, we'll still want to use that as like the guiding principle. Like, make sure that the simulation feels good, it feels right.
Now, in Alpha Season 1, we had random stats rolled out, and that saw a lot of players sort of sit on the bench, mostly because 2 skills were highly valued, and now in Alpha Season 2, we have stats that are rolled by the players themselves, so it's a point buy. You pick your stats like you would in an RPG. Do you have any thoughts about where you want that to be, if you want that to be a pure point buy, or if you're looking for something in the middle between Alpha Season 1 and what we're doing for Alpha Season 2?
The thing that I kind of got a little bit of like a sociopathic bent towards inconveniencing people that are really good at video games. Not that I'm trying to do that with Shockball. That's not the goal of Shockball. But like, there is always a little part of me that's like, when I see somebody who's like max level in some MMO, and like, they invest ungodly amounts of time in it, and for some reason they just got like owned by someone who isn't nearly near their level, I get a lot of satisfaction out of that, just seeing that happen. So that kind of like I wanted the random dice element and the random stat generation to help contribute to the idea of like in life you kind of play the cards you're dealt, right? So like you might try really hard to be a good like football or soccer player or hockey player, but you may not have near as much natural talent as somebody else, and you may never, no matter how hard you work. And that's reality. But it's also not video games. Like video games are, you start at a point, and if you put in a bunch of time and effort, you're gonna get awesome. That's generally how all video games work. It would be cool if, for some reason, it didn't always pan out that way. Um, it also would be frustrating too. I realize that, and it might feel more random than it does, realistic and satisfying. So I think moving away from random random stat generation and moving more towards stat buy gives the player a lot more agency, I guess. This feeling that like I'm in control, like I get to pick how my character starts, and I get to move in the direction that I want to go. I think that's good. I liked it, and I've heard good feedback from people on it. You asked something else though. What was the other thing you asked?
Oh, trying to find a balance between the randomization and the point buy system. If there's some sort of way you could keep that randomization element so that not every player is going to be, the star player right off the bat. Some people are going to be lucky, while still allowing for that player input. For instance, there could be something at the end of the season that sort of randomizes your stats in some way, or that
Yeah.
randomly impacts you, that will affect you next season, and it might mean you're not the greatest player next season.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it would be cool to, even if like we kind of worked that. I don't have any specific plans, but I'm just kind of thinking through that idea. Like, even if we had, in-game type events, like you get, your death in the family, and you get devastated, and like you lose a bunch of stats, something ridiculous that has nothing to do with sports in any way. um, or you get in a car accident and like your leg's injured or something. Um, but I mean, I'd like to do that too. It's just so hard to accommodate both things. People that want a lot of fairness, like there was a few people that really wanted everyone to start exactly the same at exactly the same stats, and I understand that. And then there was other people who were really passionate, like, no, don't do that. Keep it random. Like, so finding that balance is kind of difficult. Once you start leaning one way or another, you usually start getting a couple people being like, hey, like, are you going to go this way? Like, are you going to start doing more things like this? Um, and I'm trying not to be beholden to every, whim of everyone's opinion, but also trying to keep it accessible to like everybody. It's a good question.
Are you surprised by how much interest your Shockball League has received, or is this kind of what you expected?
Yeah, I am surprised, and it's actually been a nice change in how I kind of view and I guess picture the people of Star Wars Combine. Um, it's I kind of stayed in the shadows for much of the time that I was a player and didn't really get very involved. Definitely not in IRC, but like even in threads very much, and just kind of stuck with a small group of friends. I assumed that most people were kind of terrible for a long time, but it's been really nice to see everybody involved, and for 99% of the time, nobody's been terrible, and everyone's been pretty nice and excited, and it's made me excited too. Uh, so the first 2 weeks when Alpha was launched was super overwhelming. Like I was like, oh, I can't keep up with this at all, and I had another person or two actually helping me with everything. But yeah, it's got a lot of I'd say more than I expected. So, but I'm very happy about that.
Right, you got about like 50 people in the Discord for the GSL. So if you guys want to be more involved or be up to date with information, go ahead and join the Discord. I believe that's in your Traders Lounge thread, right? The link to that.
Yes,
Okay, so
that should be it.
so go there. I'll probably link it in the description too. All right. So is there any other closing thoughts or plans for Shockball you want to put out there, or Anything you want to plug? You want to plug your Twitter?
No, no, it's glad to have everybody playing. So I generally try and keep all my announcements in the announcements channel in the Shockball Discord. But when something big and important is coming out, I'll try and put it in the traders forum and maybe make a GNS post about it as well to try and reach everybody, because I know not everybody's on Discord. Yeah, we're going to keep going.
Before you go, we have our closing segment. That's right, folks. It's our trivia hour. Not really an hour. It's a couple minutes, really. We are sponsored by the New Republic. We have a 2 billion credit. What do you call it? A pot? When you win, what do you call that, Tholme? Like, if you win, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? What do you win? Is it a pot?
Yeah, you win the pot.
Okay, 2 billion credits from the New Republic if you answer all of these questions correctly. This is our anime trivia segment. All right, you ready?
Okay. Yes.
This American television sitcom fantasy series, aired from 1964 to 1972, is often mentioned as the main inspiration behind the creation of the magical girl genre in both anime and manga. Time's up. Okay, that's all we have for today. You did not win the 2 billion credit prize. I'm sorry, Tholme. You'll have to take that up with the New Republic. Okay, so that was our interview with Tholme. We already did the closing statements. Is there any other post-closing closing statements you'd like to give?
No.
Okay, excellent. That's the show. Goodbye.